Howdy champs, my name is Mohit and people. Today I'm going to show you how to make a striped table in HTML and CSS, but also using jQuery with a highlight effect on hover. In fact, we'll talk about the code later. First I'll show you the preview. Now this is the preview that we have inside Dreamweaver itself. Okay, I'm going to bring up the browsers after this. So you can see up front the table is actually striped. We have alternating colors out here for the table rows, right? Except for the table head out here, we have alternating rows, and when I hover over the the different table rows, you can see the color of the text as well as the background color change to something like a golden color. Let me show you how it actually looks like. And not only that, people, notice that there's a 3D effect. The color is in 3D. You see a convex effect, right? Protruding out effect. Okay, but this protrusion is not possible in IE. So there, instead of using I've used a flat color out there, which means that I have had to make two separate style sheets, one for non-IE browsers and one only for IE browsers, different versions of IE. Okay, let me first show you how it actually looks like in Google Chrome, right? Exactly the way we saw it inside Dreamweaver. And let me bring up IE, and people, this is the way it actually looks like. You can see that the golden color is flat out here. It's very close to the color that I've used for non-IE browsers, okay, but it's absolutely flat. There's no 3D effect. Nothing is actually coming into your face, right? So we're gonna look at how I've used the 3D effect. I've actually gone to a website which actually allows you to create your own gradients in and with different orientations, and the website is colorzilla.com/gradient-editor. You can notice that there are several presets out here that you can use, or else you can even create your own different colors and shades and 3D effects from here. I'm not going to get into the detail of how you actually do that. You can explore it. I think it's quite self-explanatory, right? So once you generate your color, your CSS will be ready out here that you can copy using this copy button. You can also have it supported for IE. You can add or not add the comments, right? Just copy this bit. The moment you say copied, it says copy to clipboard, and this code, if it's dropped inside a div, this bit of code or a class, then it's gonna appear on the web page. And you can choose your size out here. You can choose your orientation out here. There are all kind of options out here, right? These are color stoppers. These are opacity stoppers, right? So for people who have actually worked with Photoshop, this shouldn't be too difficult. So generate your 3D colors, color gradients out here, and drop it into the class for non-IE browsers. For IE browsers, we're simply going to use a flat color. Okay, now people, what I'm going to do is I'm going to destroy a little bit of HTML, and I'm going to completely destroy the ext.js file or the external JavaScript file, and I'm going to destroy this bit. I'm going to recode it so you'll understand things a lot better. And yeah, as far as the source code is concerned, I'm going to destroy the table, but I'm going to preserve the IE only style sheet, which has the name is IE.css. I'm also going to preserve the CSS for non-IE browsers. It has the name ext.css. Alright, so if I go back to my main HTML document, you can actually see that I've used links to two style sheets. This one is for the non-IE browsers, and this one is for the i.e. different versions, right? So we actually use conditional comments. So if you're not aware what conditional comments is, then probably you need to check it up. You can maybe go back to some of my tutorials which I've talked about conditional style sheets and conditional comments, or IE only style sheets. You see, if an effect doesn't appear in IE, and which is the case so many times, you need to create conditional style sheets, so style sheets only for IE. So I had to have two separate style sheets out here. Okay, this is the way you write out the comment for non-IE browsers, and then insert the link tag with the relationship attribute, type attribute, ref attribute, and media attribute, which is set to all, which is also the default. You can actually not write it is okay, right? It still means media all. And here we are linking up to IE only style sheet. This is the way you'll actually write it, right? People, you'll need to check how to work with conditional comments before you'll understand this bit. And again, I'm not going to talk about this subject in this tutorial. Okay, so this is where I actually link up to the two different style sheets, and let me just be in the code area for some time. Okay, in line number 13, people, what I've done is I've linked to an extra to the jQuery library, but I've used a CDN, content delivery network. Basically the file is not physically present on your server, but it has been offloaded to a different server, so we just referencing that URL. But basically that's where the jQuery latest version 1.10.2 is being hosted. Alright, so right, sure. And in line number 15, what I've done is I've linked up to an external JS file, which I'm going to write all over again for you. There you go. Right, now what I'm going to do is, people, I'm going to destroy this table so that I can rewrite it and show you how things actually work. So let me just delete this bit of code inside the body of the document. Select and delete. Right, yeah, even before that, let me talk you through the ext.css and ie.css files. You see, the CSS is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I don't need to destroy and reconstruct it again. You see, we have an ID striped, which has been applied to the only table that we have. I've used the border collapse property, set it to collapse. The default is separate, which actually separates the border, so it appears like a twin border. But then when you use the value collapse, it actually merges into one single border. Okay, I've used a margin all around of 20 pixels. That's going to create a cushion outside the table all around. I've used for the TH, the table head, inside TR, inside striped is the ID for the table, a background color of fabric, and a font color of white. I'll show you where it actually appears. There you go. This is fabric, and this is the text color white, people. Right. Then I have two more classes. I have two classes, stripes 1 and stripes 2. Okay, and respectively I've used background colors of burly wood and bisque. Now these are very close to, these are close cousins of the way the color brown actually appears. I'm going to show it to you again. These are bisque and burly wood. Right, I've used yet another class, stripes 3, and I've given a background color of gold and font color of brown. That's as far as the IE CSS is concerned. CSS for IE is concerned. As far as the IE for non-IE browsers is concerned, is called ext.css, or externally created CSS, and everything is just the same, except that for, instead of using the color gold, I've actually used a chunk of code. This chunk of code was actually brought over from, or copied over from, Ultimate CSS Gradient generator, ColorZilla file. I just use this copy button out here and ensure that i9 support is actually there. Right, I just copied this code onto the clipboard and just pasted it out there. Now everything else remains just the same. Yeah, just pasted the code out here in the class called stripes3. Alrighty, let's get back to the stripe table.html document, and let's start off by creating the table. So insert a table, and people, I'm gonna have 5 rows, 2 columns. The table width is 500 pixels, border thickness 1, cell padding 5, and as far as the header is concerned, header for the table, I've decided that it should be the top row, and I'm gonna say OK. Right, the table has been added, but as you can see, it doesn't have any content at the moment. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the ID of stripe to this one. Right, you can see as soon as I add the ID striped, the different colors actually appear. Right, I'm also going to add one more attribute, and that's gonna be called frame attribute. I'm going to set it to void. Now that ensures that the outer borders don't actually appear. Only the outer borders don't actually appear. Notice the change that has happened. All along the the outer extremities, the border has actually disappeared completely. That is what happens when you use the frame attribute and set it to void. Right, but the inside borders actually still appear. Cool, but that's entirely up to you whether you want to do this or not. I actually found it pleasing to the eyes. That was the only reason why I actually did this. I'm going to copy this bit of code and NBSP semicolon. Excuse me. That's because I'm going to replace it with something else. I'm going to go out here, and I'm going to use the find and replace function. Find and replace, and yep, I wish to replace an NBSP colon with some text. Let's say text filler, and I'm going to say replace all, and then yep, it's actually happened now, as you can very clearly see. Now I can actually close it. Yep, so just have some text going inside your table. So the table has been generated in no time, and the moment the ID striped has been applied, all the colors have actually appeared. Okay, let me say save all, and people, now the only thing that is left for me to do is I need to go to ext.js file and work with jQuery. Alright, so you can see I've used addClass method out here, or function out here, or ToggleClass method or function out here. Right, with the ToggleClass I've used stripes3, and with the addClass I've used stripes 1 and 2. So I'm going to redo it for you so that you'll understand it quite easily. Right, so people, when the document is ready to be manipulated, when the DOM has initialized, that is when I would want to do something, and this is what I would want to do. I'm going to reference $, and then I'm going to say striped right, which is the ID for the table, and inside that I'm going to reference the table rows, the different table rows, but up front I would want to target only the odd numbered table rows. So let's say odd. Let's close the quotation marks like this, and then say dot add class method, right, and just give me a sec. the class that I would want to add is stripes1. Right. Okay, and we don't need this actually. At the same time, let's put a semicolon out here. Let's copy this bit of code and let's paste it out here. And for the even rows inside for the table, it's gonna be stripes 2. Right? Let's save this bit. So for we're gonna have different shades for the odd and even rows of the table, and let's see how it actually affects the table. File, save all, and let's bring the browser up. Let's reload it, and let's check. People, the odd and even rows of the table have been applied the alternating colors, but you see the hover function is not yet working. That's because I've not use the hover method yet, which I'm gonna do so now. Okay, so let's go out here, and this time I'm gonna copy this bit of code like so. I'm gonna push it out here like this, but this time I'm not gonna target only the even or the odd rows. I'm gonna target everything which is actually a TR or a table row for the table, and I'm gonna use the hover method or the hover function. So I'm going to say hover, and hover will have 2 arguments going. One is the handler in and the handler out. You'll understand very soon what exactly I mean by that. Right. So let's create the 2 functions that we need. So function, that's the first function, and put a comma out here, and a corresponding function 2 is also what we need. Great. For the first function, I'm going to use the I'm going to reference this. This is going to be referencing the specific table row, right? So I'm going to use the this selector $this, right? So the table row in question dot ToggleClass. So basically, if the class has been applied, remove it. If it has been removed, add it. So that is what ToggleClass actually does. But the class that we're going to toggle, it's gonna be stripes 3, right? So just copy this bit and push it out here, and just change the stripes 2 to stripes 3, right? And similarly, I'm gonna copy this bit of code, and I'm gonna push it out here for the corresponding function, which is going to fire when you mouse out. So when the mouse enters and the mouse leaves, that is how actually hover function works. Very cool. Alrighty, so let's save the document up and make sure everything is in working order, all good, and quite clearly it is so. So let's bring up the browser, let's refresh, reload, and let's check it out for the inside Chrome for non-IE browsers, and let's bring up Internet Explorer. Let's refresh and let's check the truth out. Absolutely, the gold color is actually flat, but it's working to perfection. Alright people, so let's recap. I used this website to create a gradient, colorzilla.com/gradient-editor, right? And you can have the orientation set to horizontal, vertical, diagonal, or radial, right? You have several presets to choose from, or you can create your own color stoppers and transparency stoppers from here, right? And this is the source code. So what I've done is I've used two sets of CSS files, one for non-IE browsers and the way you write the code. One non-IE browsers is this way. The way you actually push in your link tag is this way, and this is how you're gonna push your code for IE browser. So since the 3D gradient is not gonna appear in most of the IE browsers, so I've used a separate style sheet for IE. So basically I've used conditional comments out here. Then I've linked up to the latest jQuery library 1.10.2 at the time of making this tutorial, using a CDN or content delivery network, not keeping it as a physical file on my server, but it's actually already hosted on a different server, and we are just referencing that, right? These pair of script tags are actually referencing the ext.js file that I just wrote, and then inside the body of the document we just have the table going, right, with the table head out here, the table data is out here, and some text filler has been used. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward, people. So this is how you'll actually create a stripe table with highlight on hover. So people, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I also hope that you'll sub, you'll comment, and you'll keep coming back for more and more tutorials from me. You have a good day. Bye bye. Peace.